just checking to make sure he's ready to go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I'm Assemblymember Mark González, proudly representing California's 54th Assembly District, the beating heart of Los Angeles, downtown, Boyle Heights, Koreatown, Westlake, and Pico Union. As California made history last night with the passage of Proposition 50, today is our first day to get to work for the people and by the people, and that's why you see the individuals who you'll hear from today as we are getting ready and have been ready to prepare for this battle. We are here today because the federal government has turned its back on millions of families, and we refuse to stay silent. This is not just about politics. This is personal. This is more than a press conference. This is a plea for sanity, a plea for demand for humanity, and a call to action. As Washington grinds to a halt, 5.5 million Californians, including 2 million children, are being forced to wonder if next month's groceries will even come. In Los Angeles alone, more than 1 in 7 households depend on SNAP benefits. And in my district here in Boyle Heights, where families are already struggling to make ends meet, half of our households are at risk of losing access to food assistance altogether. Let's be clear. Hunger doesn't care who you voted for. Hunger doesn't care or wait for a budget deal. Hunger doesn't take sides. It takes lives. And you know, I keep thinking about the phrase I once heard, a break in the water hose. When you're fighting a fire and the hose breaks, it doesn't matter how much water is left in the tank. Nothing gets through. And what this shutdown has done, it's cut off the lifeline to millions of families who depend on SNAP just to survive. And while 2 federal judges have now ordered that the government keep the lifeline running, the Trump administration's response has been to partially fund the program, a patch on that burst pipe. Families can't live on partial. Families can't live on hunger to be put on hold. And while this administration treats working families like political pawns, California is stepping up to do what Washington will not, and that's to feed our people. Thanks to Speaker Robert Rivas, who you'll hear from today, and our Budget Chair Jesse Gabriel, this year we didn't just talk about compassion, we funded it. We fought alongside us to increase the food bank funding from just $8 million to $60 million. And when the federal government shut, Governor Newsom, with the leadership of the Speaker, made every dollar immediately available, adding another $20 million on top of that. That's $80 million in state relief ready to go because we knew that this day was going to come. Because we knew that when Washington fails, California steps it up. But that won't last long. Food banks are already overwhelmed, and the need grows every hour. That's why we must act again, and we are acting boldly today. And here in Los Angeles, we are not waiting. For decades, when our neighbors needed a safe place to build community, to seek our support, or to access vital resources, they leaned on that YMCA of Los Angeles for support. This organization, under the leadership of Victor Dominguez and his team, have deep roots in our city of Angels. It's a trusted messenger for all Angelinos, especially in times of crises. That's why I'm proud to announce today that with the help of Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel and Speaker Rivas, we fought to secure $7.5 million to the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles to ensure that they could strengthen their food distribution programs during times of need. Their partnership, providing a stability and security for families, is essential. And you'll hear from other folks and talk about the partnerships that we're doing with Project DoorDash and others. But I'm proud to stand here shoulder to shoulder with them, fighting for Los Angeles through the Feed LA program, which you'll hear from as well. And through that program, Angelinos, regardless of their status, can access groceries, a warm meal, or home deliveries through their local YMCA. That's what partnership looks like. That's what compassion and action looks like. And I also want to make sure that we take a moment to thank Congressman Jimmy Gomez, who has been relentless in Washington, calling out the inhumane shutdown and fighting for the working families who simply want to feed their kids. A father himself, and he knows all too well from his own history and as a dad what it means to put food on the table. We are being tested right now, but I believe we will rise to meet this moment as we are doing here today. Because the measure of our government isn't found in its balance sheets. It's found in how it treats the hungry. Because the fight for food is a fight for dignity, and because our people have waited long enough. So the federal shutdown hear us clearly to those that end the shutdown and release those SNAP benefits. Until then, California will do what we always do. We lead with heart, California acts with urgency, and we never abandon its people. And with that, I'd like to introduce the man who helped to make this happen. And I've known this brother for years. We've worked in other capacities, and I jokingly say I annoy him in a good way, but he's somebody that is the head of our budget chair for the state. He has to take every meeting under the sun with every member, community leader, nonprofit leader, and has to go back to the table and draw what he thinks makes sense. And, you know, Mr. Gabriel was the first individual who came to me and said, we're going to make this happen. We're going to get it done. And he is a product of the YMCA himself, Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel.
Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. It's great to be here with all of you. As Assemblymember González mentioned, my name is Jesse Gabriel. I am really proud to represent the San Fernando Valley in the California State Legislature, so thank you for the hall pass, allowing me to come back to my family's roots down here in East LA and Boyle Heights. I am just so honored to be here with this incredible group of elected leaders, of nonprofit leaders, who are all fighting for the same thing. We are fighting for our communities. We are fighting for children to be fed. And I want to make sure that people understand at this incredible moment in time, the contrast could not be sharper. Washington Republicans are literally fighting to take food away from children, and California is fighting to make sure that our children are fed. President Trump is deploying the National Guard into American cities and into our communities to terrorize our communities. And California, thanks to the leadership of Governor Newsom, is deploying the National Guard to help feed people, to make sure that our babies have enough to eat before they go to bed at night, to make sure that our families have the nutritious meals that they need and deserve. And so I am just here to say thank you. First of all, I want to thank our incredible speaker, Robert Rivas. This is somebody who grew up in farm worker housing, whose family embodies the American dream, but who never forgot where he came from and who is laser focused on the issues that matter most to California families. And it is because of Speaker Rivas, and it is because of Assembly Democrats that we have made these investments in food banks, these investments in nutrition, these investments in our underserved communities. And a special shout out to Assemblymember Mark González, who is so deeply rooted in this community and who has committed himself, along with Congressman Jimmy Gomez, to fighting for our most vulnerable. That is what they get up in the morning to do, and that is what they do every day. And so I want to say thank you to you, Mark, and thank you to you, Congressman, for all of your incredible work. And also thank you to our incredible nonprofit partners. I will say this. I just had the opportunity last week to be with Victor at the Mid-Valley YMCA in Van Nuys, handing out groceries to folks who showed up, who needed that food, who were feeling directly the impact of this destructive agenda in Washington, D.C. It's not theoretical for somebody who's trying to feed their kid. This is not some kind of policy debate, something where, red versus blue for someone who wants to make sure that their kid goes to bed at night without crying. This is not something that is, about which team is going to win. This is, as the Assembly member said, this is about humanity. This is about our communities. And so I just want to say thank you to Victor and to the folks at Food Forward who are out there. As Mark mentioned, this $7.5 million that he championed for and fought so hard for with members of the entire LA delegation, this is going to feed folks around the city of Los Angeles. Victor and the Y are in every corner of this great city, handing out groceries, doing incredible work in communities, and this is going to feed folks throughout the state of California. So I just want to say I am so incredibly proud of the leadership of Assembly Democrats, and I do want to thank our colleague who's not here, Dr. Corey Jackson, who chairs our budget subcommittee. But again, the contrast here could not be sharper. They are trying to keep people from eating. We are trying to make sure that people have the healthy, nutritious meals that they need and deserve. And I have to say this, even though it is a difficult moment in history, it's been an exciting moment for Los Angeles between the Dodgers and Proposition 50. We got some momentum on our side. We feel like the blue team is doing well. And I have a firm belief that our love is stronger than their hate, that our compassion is stronger than their indifference, and that our spirit of collaboration is going to win out over their spirit of divisiveness. So again, thank you to Assemblymember Mark González. Everyone in this community should give him a big hug and a huge thank you, because he's relentless energy. He bothers people in the spirit of justice, and he did a great job. To Speaker Rivas, to Congressman Jimmy Gomez, these three extraordinary leaders are the reason that millions of California kids are going to get the food that they need and deserve. And I just want to say thank you, and it's an honor to work with them.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gabriel. I'll be coming back to you next year, I'm sure. Look, our next speaker needs no introduction, but look, it's been only 11 months that I've taken office in the state legislature. These 11 months have felt like a game of whack-a-mole where this is happening and this is happening and that's happening. But it takes a leader and a true champion to get us through those times, through those challenging times. We went through the fires. We've gone through the immigration raids. My district was the epicenter, and it continues to be the epicenter of these immigration raids. And you have to have a face and a leader who understands that, who gets that, and pushes back against the federal government, pushes back against our Republican colleagues in the legislature and say, not on my watch, not on my dime. And despite the fact that he might be a Giants fan, he is a giant within the legislature, and we would not be here without him today, none other than Speaker Robert Rivas.
Giants here.
Well, good morning, everybody. I appreciate Mark González. As I often mention to people, he's like family, and so I give him a pass for mentioning that I am a Giants fan here in the heart of Los Angeles. But it's wonderful to be here with everybody, and you know, especially after such an overwhelming evening for California, after this really important election we had last night, as was mentioned by both Assemblymember Gabriel and Mr. González. You know, what was overwhelming about last night was the deep contrast between Donald Trump's vision for America and what we stand for here in California. It's clear Trump's America, after 8 months of his presidency, his second presidency, his agenda is very clear: punish the poor, protect the powerful, and use hunger as leverage. And here in California, our agenda, our vision, not only for our own state, but for the rest of the country, has been quite clear. Feed our kids, protect our seniors, and lift people up. And as Assemblymember Mr. Gabriel mentioned, this contrast has never been sharper. You know, Donald Trump and Republicans in Washington shut down the government. In California, stepping up, and that is why we are here this morning, is to highlight this work. We are mobilizing food banks, local governments, and nonprofits to fill this gap. And this government shutdown is starving America. You know, they are literally, Donald Trump and Republicans are literally taking food off the table from California's children and from our most vulnerable families, from seniors. And this shutdown is quite unprecedented. You know, not only is it the longest shutdown in U.S. history, but it's also the first time in U.S. history that a president has allowed a shutdown to jeopardize food aid at this scale. And as Mr. González mentioned, when Republicans and Donald Trump fail to lead, California will step up. We will gladly lead. As Democrats, as Californians, we will do everything in our power to make sure parents can put food on the table and that every family can celebrate the holidays with dignity. You know, funding food programs is not partisan. It shouldn't be partisan. Funding food programs is simply the right thing to do, always. And I want to begin by thanking everyone who showed up this morning, the volunteers, the staff, the workers who make all of this possible. It truly takes a team effort, and in moments like this, California and certainly Los Angeles is always united, always showing up. And I'm especially grateful for the incredible work being done right here at the Los Angeles YMCA, to its president and CEO, Victor Dominguez. Victor, thank you for leading by example. The fact that this YMCA has distributed over 4 million pounds of food to Angelinos this year, that's real leadership, and that is what we call community in action. But now let's talk real, because there is a disinformation machine out there, a flood of Republican MAGA bots and trolls lying about who these food programs serve. And so let's set the record straight with facts. You know, here in Los Angeles County, more than 1.5 million people, 1.5 million, rely on CalFresh to feed their families. More than half are families with children. 2 out of 3 CalFresh households include someone who's working, often full-time. And this isn't just a moral issue, this is an economic issue. When President Trump and Republicans shut down the government or they delay and put at risk CalFresh funding, LA's economy loses more than $300 million a month. $300 million a month. And that's money that normally goes straight to our grocery stores, to small businesses, to our supermarkets. That's $300 million that should be feeding our families, not lost to Washington and Donald Trump's dysfunction. And that's why I'm proud to be here on the front lines, with my colleagues, with all of you, making sure that every Californian can enjoy a meal and feed their family. And I want to thank my dear friend and colleague, Assemblymember Mark González. As was mentioned, he's a fighter for this community. He's a dear friend, but he's always first to step up when it matters most. And certainly when it comes to the budget and whatnot, we had no choice working with the budget chair because Mark González was leading the effort requesting that funding. And so Mark is very persistent and is relentless. And so that's why I give all the credit to our budget chair, Mr. Jesse Gabriel, whose leadership helped deliver tens of millions of dollars for food banks in this year's budget, not only here in Los Angeles, but across California. And that funding is being fast-tracked, as has been mentioned, and it's making a true difference for families across Los Angeles, but not possible without partners like the YMCA. Congressmember Jimmy Gomez, thank you for always standing strong with us in this fight. This is obviously truly a team effort. We're in it together, Sacramento, Washington, and every community across California. And my promise to Los Angeles and to the people of California is that when Donald Trump and Republicans take grocery money from families, we will fight back. When they attack our safety net, we will stand taller. And when they try to divide us, we will unite because feeding our people is never negotiable. Thank you for your compassion, thank you for your action, and thank you here at the YMCA for proving every single day that California takes care of its own. Thank you all.
I'm very lucky to serve with Mr. Gabriel and Mr. Speaker, who are delivering today not just for Los Angeles, but for the entire state of California. When you think about my colleagues or those in elected office, you see folks behind me, but you see folks already lining up once they heard that was happening. And there are pillars to our community who make not just today happen, but tomorrow happen, who are the voices for those who are not able to be here today. And there are folks who step up to that plate to make sure that their community is heard, their community is fed, and their community is not forgotten. And one of those individuals who you hear from right now, and I've always said this, and she and I have talked about this, we've known each other well over 15 years and probably beyond that. The difference is that elected officials have term limits, community leaders do not. And Mongo Amador is a true champion and a leader who's been here for decades. And if you come into this community or you want to represent it, you got to work with Mongo. And so without further ado, Mongo Amador.
Good morning. My name is Margarita. Everyone knows me by Mago. I want to thank you, first of all, for allowing us the space. Even though we don't always see it, it is felt every single day in our communities. Access to food and the importance of food pantries. Food pantries are not just places where a bag of food is handed out. They are a bridge of hope for our most vulnerable communities. When a family comes to a pantry, many times they don't just bring an empty bag. They also bring worries, stress, and fear of not being able to feed their children. And they leave with a bag of food. They take with them a bit of dignity, relief, and a feeling that they are not alone. In our neighborhood, I've seen up close and personal the impact of food insecurities. Children who arrive to school without having breakfast. Families stretch the little they have so that it lasts the whole week. Young people worry about whether they will have food at home and not about their homework. Food insecurity doesn't just affect the stomach, it affects the mood, school performance, and the emotional and physical health of the entire family. This is why it's important that we continue strengthening food pantries and all programs that bring direct access to food, especially our SNAP program, which leave essential support to many of our families. Access to healthy food should not be a privilege. It's a basic human right. Every box of food, every bag of fruit, vegetables is an investment in the future of our children and in the stability of our families. Today, I invite all of us to keep working together, organizations, schools, churches, neighbors, and the city, especially our government. Let's not normalize hunger. Let's continue raising our voices for those who sometimes cannot. Because when a family has food on their table, the whole community is strengthened. I'm going to do this in Spanish. Buenos días. Quiero agradecerles por este espacio para hablar de algo que aunque a veces no se ve, se siente todos los días en nuestras comunidades. El acceso a los alimentos y la importancia de las despensas de comida. Las despensas de alimentos no son un lugar donde se entrega una bolsa de comida, son una puente de esperanza para nuestras familias más vulnerables. Cuando una familia lleva una despensa, muchas veces no solo trae una bolsa vacía, también traen preocupaciones, estrés y miedo de no poder darle de comer a sus hijos. Y cuando salen con alimentos, llevan un poco de alivio, dignidad y la sensación de que no están solos. En nuestras vecindades he visto de cerca el impacto de la inseguridad de alimentos. Niños que llegan a la escuela sin haber desayunado. Familias que estiran lo poquito que tienen para que alcancen toda la semana. Jóvenes que se preocupan más por el hambre que por las tareas. La inseguridad de alimentos no solo afecta el estómago, afecta el ánimo, el rendimiento escolar, la salud emocional y física de toda la familia. Por eso es que es tan importante que sigamos fortaleciendo las despensas de alimentos y todos los programas que acercan la comida a nuestras comunidades, específicamente el programa de SNAP, de las estampillas. El acceso de alimentos saludables no deben ser un privilegio, es un derecho básico y humano. Cada caja de comida, cada bolsa de frutas y verduras es una inversión en el futuro de nuestros niños y es la estabilidad de nuestras comunidades. Hoy les invito a que sigamos trabajando juntos, organizaciones, escuelas, iglesias, vecinos y la ciudad, específicamente el gobierno, que sigan levantando la voz por quienes a veces no pueden hablar. Porque cuando una familia tiene comida en su mesa, toda la comunidad se fortalece. Muchas gracias.
I always tell folks that government is supposed to be the problem solver, not the problem. And it really does take a partnership to get stuff done, especially from Washington, D.C. And the next speaker you'll hear from is somebody who, more than a friend, we've worked together for years when he was a community organizer with the labor union, but working with him in the state legislature. And now I'm in that capacity, but working with a brother who gets stuff done. Somebody that since day one, when the raids were coming, he and I would both partner up without cameras, but we would go into that community and help to get ICE out of there. We spent some of the day together on election day, making sure that the polls were running smoothly and safely. Congressmember Jimmy Gomez.
Thank you, Mark. First, let me just say thank you to Mark González as well as Speaker Rivas and of course, Victor Dominguez with the YMCA for stepping up. The $7.5 million grant for the Y is going to make a big difference when it comes to making sure people have enough to eat. My father was from Mexico. He was born and raised there. He became a bracero here in the United States to pick the food that got put on people's plates. And one day, he when I was visiting Mexico, he said, one of the worst feelings is the feeling of hunger. He said most people will never experience that, but it's something that you can never forget. And you never want to be hungry again once you have that feeling. Because you know what it means. It means kids that will be malnourished, parents that will often give up their food necessary in order to have their kids survive. The snowball effect of that is tremendous. We don't necessarily always experience that here in the United States. Because in other countries, especially when my dad was growing up, hunger wasn't a choice, or not having enough food to eat or having food to eat wasn't a choice. But we have a choice here. And Donald Trump and the Republicans are making it a choice to try to use hunger as political leverage in order to get an upper hand in budget negotiations. That's what they're trying to do. And don't let them fool you by saying that it's the Democrats that are not opening the government. They control the House, the Senate, as well as the presidency. They can open up the House if they wanted to, but Speaker Mike Johnson has had his members on permanent vacation for the last 35 days. And additionally, there are some fact points that we want people to know about. Donald Trump, he had $6 billion, up to $6 billion in emergency funding for SNAP that he could have used from day one in order to ensure that the food SNAP benefits were not going to come to an end. It would only last 3 to 4 weeks, but it was something. But he refused to do it until a court told him he had to do it. Then he tried to back out of it. So when people say that he's not using it as political leverage, it's complete nonsense. And if you want another proof point, in his one big billionaire bill, the beautiful bill that he called it, cut SNAP benefits by $200 billion. $200 billion. And before that, in May of this past year, he canceled 94 million pounds of food that was headed to food banks across the country that would have fed 12 million people for 1 month. So this is a political party that doesn't care about the working people, because every time they have a chance to help the working man and woman on the street, they attack them. And then they refuse to extend the ACA premium tax credits that made healthcare affordable, not just for Californians, but in Republican states that never expanded Medicaid. So when it comes to a president who said that they were going to lower the cost of living on day one, he's increasing the cost when it comes to healthcare. He's increasing the cost when it comes to food benefits. Why? Because if you don't have money, everything else feels a lot more expensive. So this is where we're at. But that's why we need to have partners like Speaker Rivas and the YMCA, as well as Gavin Newsom, that will step up when Donald Trump and the Republicans fail to act. And is it a choice? Absolutely. Let's not forget he found the money, $20 billion, to bail out Argentina, and then another $20 billion in loans to Argentina backed by the U.S. federal government. So if they don't pay it, we are on the hook for it. That $20 billion would extend the ACA premium subsidies for 1 year. For 1 year. But they refuse to do it. The $20 billion for food, the extra $20 billion could help fund SNAP for another 6 months. So it's a choice if people go hungry in this country. And Donald Trump and the Republicans keep on making the wrong choice. So yesterday, it was beautiful to see that the American people said enough is enough. We want a government that actually works for people, brings us together, and makes sure that we actually form a more perfect union. With that, I'd love to give it back to Assemblymember Mark González.
Thank you, Congressman Gomez. Yes, he deserves a round of applause for that. This is the epicenter of what community relies on when you talk about the YMCA. And when we put this money forward and this request forward, it was never about me, it was about we. And as I always say, it's never about I, it's about the why. And this is the epicenter of that. In 2020, when we all thought that COVID was going to be a 2-week thing, we knew, and with the partnership with Brenda and Mario Valenzuela and so many others, that this was going to be the hub that people needed to rely on. And so in those first 2 weeks and beyond, in the years that we've been here, 26 or 27, I can't remember exactly the number, but Ys had to close their doors. This was the only YMCA that stayed open in 2020. This was the only YMCA that was the first to provide COVID shots. This was the YMCA that was able to provide masks to people in those communities. This is the YMCA that was able to provide food to people who needed it the most and delivered it because they were afraid to go to their house. This is the YMCA that helped people who had to make a decision. Do they put food on the table or gas in their car? And that's the YMCA. And under this YMCA, you have to have a leader who believes in that, who understands that, and who gets that. And, you know, today we are celebrating the fact that we got $7.5 million, but you cannot say victory without Victor Dominguez.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark, I'm going to use that one moving forward. You can't say victory without saying Victor Dominguez. Thank you so much for that. Mark, I'll get to you. I'll get to you in a bit. But what a humbling and somber, but yet what a good day in regards to moving forward in this announcement and this investment and the results that will happen because of it. I want to thank Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas. Thank you for your continued leadership, commitment, dedication for all Angelenos, and thank you for being with us here in Los Angeles. By the way, the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, Los Angeles. Thank you for that. And to Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel. You know, he receives a lot of requests, as well as the Speaker and our state leaders. But to believe in a vision and to believe that a nonprofit like the Los Angeles Y can deliver on a promise to ensure that no child or no family goes hungry, no matter what their situation or life circumstance may be. And so I thank both Jesse, I thank the Speaker, I thank Mark, our great Assembly member here in this district, for believing in the Los Angeles Y, but most importantly for believing in our communities. I also want to thank Congressman Jimmy Gomez. A couple of years ago, we had a request to the Congressmember, and he came up big time to ensure, in particular around education and how the Y will address education equity throughout Los Angeles, but also in his district. And he came up big for us then, and he continues to come up big for the Y and for our community. So thank you, Congressmember, for your support. I want to thank a few of our partners. Because the LAY, we don't do anything alone. It's all through partnership in the spirit of collaboration to ensuring that we address the most pressing needs our communities face. The first partner, Rick Namias, the CEO of Food Forward. Rick, you are our number one partner in ensuring that the food that we get from your organization gets in the hands of those who need it most. Rick is running an organization that truly is aligned and believes that all communities need to ensure the fact that they have food security. So, Rick, thank you. I also want to thank LA Care. LA Care has made an initial investment to help us ensure that this next month, due to what is occurring in our communities, that everyone has the opportunity to be fed. And I want to thank their CEO, Martha Santana Chin, again, for their partnership and their investment. I also want to thank DoorDash, who is with us today. Our partnership with DoorDash will ensure the fact that those who are not able or decide not to go outside their homes, that we provide food delivery. And so with this partnership, it's to ensure that we meet all the necessity and the needs of every community member throughout Los Angeles County. I also want to thank my 2,500 team members that work every single day for my 29 YMCAs across the county of LA. Their hard work, commitment, and passion and dedication is truly admirable. And we would not be standing here today or any day without their commitment and their passion to the work. And to the nearly 15,000 volunteers that today are working on behalf of the Y and their communities throughout Los Angeles County. Thank you for giving of yourself and for the spirit of service. I now want to go to Assemblymember Mark González. Really, we're standing here today because this story goes back to 2020. Mark made a commitment that he wanted to work in partnership with the Y when the pandemic occurred. Where you are standing at right now really amplified and scaled one of the largest food programs throughout our region. We were able to engage countless number of volunteers, but most importantly, since 2020, thanks to Mark's leadership and the leadership of my team, we've been able, I'm going to say this slowly because I think this is pretty impressive. We've been able to serve more than 30 million pounds of food to individuals and families throughout the region. It doesn't take a big plan. It takes heart. It takes leadership. And it takes to do whatever you need to do right for people. And that epitomizes the leadership and the partnership of Assemblymember Mark González. So thank you, Assemblymember. 1 in 4 children, or I should say 1 in 4 households here in Los Angeles, unfortunately, have food insecurity. So why are we here today? We are here today because I am here to commit all 29 of my YMCAs to completely activate to ensure to ensure that we address an issue and a challenge that our communities have been facing way before our current environments, way before the pandemic. And it's time that partners like the Y and Food Forward with our public service leaders, as well as other organizations and businesses and community leaders throughout our community, to address the challenges that many Angelenos in our communities have been facing for many, many years. And so you can go today to any 29 of my YMCAs, and we will have a schedule and we will have a plan to ensure that no child, no family goes hungry in our community. For us at the Y, our perspective is this. This is not about politics, nor is this about the LAY. This is about doing what is right and what is good for our community. You can always count on us to step up to be your Center for Community Well-Being. You can always count on us to always step up to ensure that we as a community are well. We as a community lead change together, and we as a community do good for all. So thank you all for being with us in Assembly. González, thank you for your leadership.
We'll get into the Q&A part about folks, again, who are able to contact the YMCA and what are their hours and how folks can be able to get the benefits today. As we're already seeing folks line up, this is a working pantry. This is a working operation. And that's why people and press being here today is so crucial to get that word out because this is a trusted source with that community. And as Victor said, it takes a partnership to provide the food that you see around here today. There's being deliveries as we speak, but it does take somebody who has that forward-thinking attitude, that forward-thinking approach, and that forward-thinking partnership. And that's the CEO of Food Forward, Rick Namayas. How do you say it? Namayas. There you go. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you to our state leaders and the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles for bringing us together today. I'm Rick Namayas, the founder and CEO of Food Forward, a Los Angeles-based nonprofit which across our 16 years has provided well over 500 million pounds of fresh, free produce to hundreds of communities in need across the region. You can learn more about us or donate at foodforward.org. The SNAP crisis that our country has been intentionally thrust into is a human rights crisis. SNAP is the nation's oldest and best functioning hunger relief safety net. When it's cut, families do not just lose food, they lose access to nutrition, stability, and dignity. That is why we're stepping up. 48 hours ago, Food Forward, in partnership with the YMCA, with support from LA Care, activated an emergency expansion, more than doubling our produce distributions at YMCA sites, growing from 13 to 29 county-wide. This month alone, Food Forward will be supplying an additional 2.4 million servings of fresh fruits and vegetables above and beyond our normal monthly supply, covering every district in the county. And we are sourcing this produce from local distributors and small farms, mobilizing at a speed and a scale we have never done before because families need more, families deserve more. We are proud to join Assemblymember González, Speaker Rivas, and Congressman Gomez together alongside partner organizations all working in emergency mode across the city and state. We are proving that food justice is not optional. It is an essential infrastructure. And today we recommit to protecting every family's right to fresh, healthy food by demanding that this administration restore full federal funding for SNAP now. Thank you.
And I just want to remind folks, and I was asking Victor, and I want to just thank everybody for being here as we wrap this up. Go to YMCA.LA.org, and you will see a pop-up banner like this that immediately pops up, YMCA.LA.org, and they also have the website in Spanish as well. And it's the YMCA Feed LA program providing free meals and groceries to individuals and families across the city, which is the website mentioned today. And so folks can show up or let them know that they need the groceries to be delivered. We are acting now. I'm a product of Section 8 housing. I'm a product of food stamps. I'm a product of the people that you see lined up here today. It does take a lot of courage and conviction to be able to say that you need help. And today we are providing that help, we are providing that resource, and that's what the YMCA is stepping up today. So I just want to thank the community, the speaker, and everybody. And having a speaker here is a very big deal. It showcases the fact that he's taking this issue very seriously. And as we continue in the legislature next year, we're going to have to do this again. We are only 11 months into this Republican administration's presidency, and so we have to push back. And again, we know it's not about politics. This is personal. This is about people. So thank you all, and we'll take any questions from any press. We had Mago do it. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it, Jimmy? No.
Primero quiero decir gracias al asambleísta Mark González y también el speaker de la asamblea Rick Rivas para todo lo que están haciendo para ayudar a nuestras comunidades aquí en el este de Los Ángeles. Trump y los republicanos están jugando con los alimentos de las familias. En California, nosotros protegemos a las familias trabajadoras. El YMCA está ayudando a miles de familias a tener comida, alimentos en su mesa. Este apoyo llega cuando los republicanos fallaron. Los republicanos tienen que dejar de jugar con las vidas de nuestras comunidades, con nuestra gente, y abrir el gobierno ya. Porque ya es tiempo, porque muchos de nuestras familias están sufriendo. Gracias. Anybody else? Rick? No? All right. Anything else?
Yep. All right. We'll do pull asides. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
They're going to move stuff and get to work. Thank you. Mario?
No, good job. I was going to say, I appreciate you saying it. Very good. We're going to start, but can we take a photo for the... Yes. And
Do you want me to take it?
Yes, and then I want you to get in it. Oh. You know what?